We got a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on today, including me taking a sip of this tea and choking right before we started the show. Ruby Rose just posted a 15-part slide Instagram story about her experience on the set of Batwoman. I think a lot of us have been asking questions about why did Ruby Rose really leave Batwoman, and why is nobody speaking much about what happened here, and why does this feel like the elephant in the room all of the time? And she finally took to Instagram story and put slide after slide after slide. We're going to go through every single one of those today because whoa, whoa, whoa. Also, we've been talking a lot about the Chappelle special. When you try to speak and combine Chappelle and special, the Chappelle special, the Chappelle special, the closer. And today is supposed to be the Netflix Walkout. And I think that there was a couple of interesting tidbits that I learned about it that I wanted to speak on. And also, my thoughts are kind of morphing on this topic as certain things come to light. So I am excited to talk a little bit about that as well. And anything that you guys want to talk about, questions, comments, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I am the person right here, Roxy, live at the Roxy, but you guys are the rock stars. And so I want to hear from you. And if I don't hear from you, what the fuck's the point? It's like me just talking into the void. So send in your thoughts. I know that Gen Zers have taken over the term thought. Maybe it's millennials, thought. But when I say thoughts, I just am with a Boston accent saying your thoughts, not your thoughts like sexy people. I think that's what a thought is. The fuck do I know? I'm sometimes the least hip person on the planet. I'm also in an incredibly weird headspace in the last 24 hours, having a really difficult time with my friends recently, and just very much so on the struggle bus. So I'm going to talk about that towards the end. But that's not why most of you are here. Most of you are here because you want to hear my thoughts on the entertainment industry and the things that are going on right now. So let's break it down. The only reason I saw what was going on with Ruby Rose is because I saw Mike Kalinowski post about Ray Fisher posting about Ruby Rose. And I was like, ooh, what's happening here? That's why I fucking love Twitter, because it actually does keep me informed about shit that I wouldn't otherwise be informed about. And then I went and I saw what was going on, and it was messy. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. So let's go over everything that Ruby Rose said in her Instagram story. But before we do that, let's go into Streamlabs, see what it is you guys are talking about, and give some shout outs. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. What is up with you guys today? I just got a notification on my phone for Black Friday, and I remembered that Black Friday exists, and I'm very excited because there's certain things that I really would like to buy. Oh boy! Black Friday right around the corner. In the Streamlabs on this 20th of October, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. We actually got our most recent Streamlabs in yesterday, but it was after the show. Oh no, it was during the show. We have no Streamlabs for the day yet. Used to be when I started the show, the Streamlabs came pouring in. Now, just not that case. All right, we'll give shout outs. You guys will send your thoughts in your own time, I suppose. And then we'll jump into Ruby Rose. Shout out to everybody who's here today. I know that not everybody can financially support. For those of you guys who can, you guys are the ones who keep the show going. So I appreciate you. For those of you guys who just show up, I totally feel you. And the support and the love fills my soul. Where the fuck's Glenn been? I hope he's okay. Haskell 420, Zozo, Polaris Castillo, Robert Turner, John Perillo, Haskell 420, Lauren, Steve Cauldron, Manny Gonzalez, Kurt, what up, Dirt Hagens, Zozo, Austin Kramer, Kieran V, John Bainbridge, Mara Sue, Calvin Patel, Geekicidal Tendencies, Ryan Payne, Garth McMurray, Mohammed Belsin, everyone who's showing up to give their support. What's up to all of you guys? Thanks for joining the chat right now. Joseph Ashley, Anthony Strader. All right, let's jump into this. So we got to kind of suss a lot of this out together because there's a lot of different things that Ruby Rose is saying here. The first slide says, Dear CW, Then she tags Caroline Dreiss, who Caroline is the one that I believe did with Julie Plec, the originals, right? Caroline, I think that's who that was. Sarah, and I'm sure other things. Sarah Saudi and Greg Berlanti. Berlanti, we obviously know from the Berlanti verse. These seem like CW producers. Et al. Enough is enough. I'm going to tell the whole world what really happened on that set. So that's the first thing. I wish Ruby Rose didn't use this font. If I can throw one jab at Ruby Rose, it's that. I really like Ruby Rose. But gosh, this font was hard to read. If you click on her Instagram story, I'm like, it was really zoomed in. It's so small. As a little background, I've only met Ruby Rose one time. I might have met her twice, but I interviewed her one time. It was for the Meg. And I've said this before. She was lovely to me. Now, I only was with her for a 5-minute interview, but she was paired with Rainn Wilson. They were both hysterical, and she was really lovely to me. So that's been my only interaction with her. I have no horses in this race. This is what she said other than that. Her next slide says, I will come for you so what happened to me never happens to another person again, and so I can finally take back my life and the truth. Shame on you. Okay, so then the first person she goes for is Peter Roth. Peter Roth, you're up first. You are chapter 1. Not sure if you left after getting promoted to the highest position because you just couldn't stop making young women steam your pants around your crotch while you were still wearing said pants, or if you left after putting a private investigator on me who you fired as soon as the report didn't fit your narrative. Either way, when it comes to you, there's already an army waiting for you. Okay, so let's break this down. She is saying a couple different things about Peter Roth here. She is saying that Peter Roth has women steam his pants while he is wearing them in the crotch region. Now, I don't know what exactly, whether that's in regards to herself, whether that's in regards to other people, whether that is who that is in reference to. She says in this, I think she says women. So that sounds like multiple. Let's see. It says, whether that's making young women, WOMEN, steam your pants. So I don't know what that means. I think, well, in your crotch region. So he's wearing pants. He's making young women steam them. I'm guessing steam, like when with a steamer, we usually you steam your clothes where the clothes are not on your body. Yeah, Peter Roth is an executive for Warner Brothers. I believe his title is executive producer, but let's see. Peter Roth, Warner Brothers. We've talked about him often. President of Warner Brothers Television. He's the president of WB Television. It was announced that Roth would leave the studio in 2021. So Peter Roth left this year, or it was announced he would leave this year. But this is saying that he would make young women steam his crotch. So taking a steamer to like iron out the wrinkles is supposedly why you steam a crotch while he was wearing the pants. It seems pretty self-explanatory to me that that's fucking weird. That I would never be in a position where a boss of mine would ask me to steam their pants while they were wearing them in their crotch region, that I would feel comfortable. If I was wardrobe, maybe, but still you would take the pants off. So that's but then she says, there's already an army waiting for you. I don't know whether that's an army and she's talking about now that he's left, that people are compiling a Me Too case against him. I don't mean that to be slander. I mean, these are my thoughts. These are the things that sounds like it could be to me, or whether an army waiting for you means, you're going to have to answer to somebody at some point. That's what I I think that means. The next thing is a video of her getting an explanation from her doctors about an injury that she had while she's looking at the x-rays. She writes on it, cut to 3 weeks later after this video. It's worse than abnormal. This was diagnosed years ago on set, but if I got an x-ray, we wouldn't make our day. So to not make your day means that everything that you're intending to film in that day, you don't film it all. And so you're behind schedule. I have documented this for years. On top of that, I have enough documentation to make a 1-hour documentary. Pray tell what else would you like me to share? The broken neck, or the broken rib split in two, or the tumor. So I remember hearing about some of these injuries. I don't remember hearing about a tumor. I do remember hearing about several injuries that Ruby Rose had received on the set of Batwoman, but we never got the full details on everything that was going on. The next thing she posts is the video of her getting surgery. And it's a video she posted a long time ago. She titles, "Well, that was fun." But she posts it on her story and says, "To everyone who said I was too stiff as Batwoman, imagine going back to work 10 days after this. 10 days. Or the whole crew and cast would be fired, and I'd let everyone down because Peter Roth said he wouldn't recast. That he would recast. And I just lost the studio millions by getting injured on his set. That is, be the one who cast so many people their job, that cost so many people their jobs, instead of spending half a day to rewrite me out for a few weeks to heal." So she's saying after her surgery, she had to go back to set 10 days later. And people, I guess, at home were commenting on how stiff she was. I actually have talked many times about how I thought she was a good Batwoman, but people were saying things like she was very stiff, stoic. And she's saying 10 days after this, she had to go back because Peter Roth threatened that if she didn't go back, she would cost a lot of people their jobs because they wouldn't get their days in. They wouldn't be able to shoot. Then she posts a video that she posted when she was not going to attend Comic-Con. She posted this video saying that she wouldn't be attending Comic-Con. It had been a dream of hers to always go to Comic-Con. And she writes on that video and says, "Imagine taking a huge pay cut to play a passion project and being so excited about Comic-Con and then being told they would not adjust the schedule so I could attend, but then saying, 'We won't announce it, you have to.' And me putting my foot down and saying, 'Why must I be the face of this?' Only to be told if I didn't do this video, they would be silent and people would turn up to find out on the day that I wasn't there. I folded. I wanted to do what it took, but then being told, 'Cover your scar. We don't want to see that scar on the video.' And you wonder why I posted my surgery video." Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on here that I'm not fully understanding. When Ruby says, "Imagine taking a huge pay cut to play a passion project and being so excited about Comic-Con." So I think she's referring to Batwoman as a passion project because prior to this, she's in things like The Meg. So she's making a lot more money. And the CW, I think she's referring to that as a passion project. So she's saying that this was a pay cut to come to TV. I don't know that I would refer to Batwoman as anybody's passion project. It's not like an indie little thing. So I could be misunderstanding here. She could be talking about something else. But then she said, being so excited about Comic-Con, maybe Comic-Con was one of the reasons why she took Batwoman in the first place. And then being told they would not adjust the schedule so I could attend. I don't know what that part means either. When she says that she could attend, they wouldn't adjust the schedule. Comic-Con's obviously a set schedule in terms of the days it's on. Comic-Con takes place a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So maybe she meant that she couldn't attend when the panel was scheduled, and she was hoping that panel would be scheduled to earlier, later, another couple days. But I'm unclear on why she wasn't able to attend. I don't know what happened here. It isn't customary that she would have to make this announcement, though. That's the part that I'm understanding here that seems strange to me. Why Warner Brothers wouldn't have her back, why Warner Brothers wouldn't say this is what's happening. She was filming and they wouldn't give her days off to attend. She was filming what? Batwoman, and they wouldn't give her the days off to attend? They made her shooting schedule conflict with Comic-Con. Oh, interesting. So she's saying that she was filming Batwoman. I wish this had been a little more clear. I'm sure that there's a lot of frustration and anger and emotion that goes into writing these things, but in order for her to make her case, I do wish she had been just slightly more clear. Because if Warner Brothers, if the show scheduled it so she had to film those days and she couldn't go to uh, Comic-Con because of it, then that sucks. And I wish they had adjusted the schedule for her as well. I also think that even if it was about something else and she was working on something else, this should have been an announcement that they made, not her personally. The covering up the scars thing is because they don't want to take accountability for the fact that she's been getting injured, and they don't want her to be scarred and people to see that because it makes them look down on the show. So that part's really fucked up too. So yeah, that's not a good look for CW or Warner Brothers. She then says, if that's what's going on. Again, I was a little confused by this slide. She then says, so in closing, and then it's definitely not in closing, but I'll read you guys all the slides. In closing, please to my dear fans, stop asking if I'll return to that awful show. I wouldn't return for any amount of money, nor if a gun were to my head. Nor did I quit. I do not quit. They ruined Kate Kane, and then they destroyed Batwoman, not me. I followed orders, and if I wanted to stay, I was going to have to sign my rights away. Any threats, any bullying tactics, or blackmail will not make me stand down. Okay, so there's more to the slide, but let's stop there. I totally understand the frustration that somebody might feel if people just, you leave a show and everybody's like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? Obviously, the fans are not privy to all this information. So they're just asking questions that they want to see her again. But I understand her frustration here and being like, I'm not fucking going back. But these are some of the most strong words I have ever seen from an actor about a show, saying that they would not return if there was a gun to their head. It's not just about the money, a gun to their head. Holy shit. I mean, that's clearly somebody who's not going to fucking return. Then she goes on to say, a crew member, and from this part on, I think this now starts to prove the really awful things that are happening on set. And all of this kind of has to do with what's going on with IATSE right now. But not just with that, with just the mistreatment of people on sets, which is now she starts to get specific, which I think was really important for what she was trying to say. So she says, a crew member got third-degree burns over his whole body, and we were given no therapy after witnessing his skin fall off his face. But I was the only one who sent him flowers and cards, and then we're told that we had to do a sex scene without a minute to process. We lost 2 stunt doubles. I got cut in the face so close to my eye in a stunt I could have been blind. A woman was left quadriplegic, and they tried to blame it on her being on her phone. So much so, CW didn't even help her to start because they needed to investigate. So she had to do a GoFundMe. She's a PA. They work via phone. Her accident occurred because our show refused to shut down when everyone else did because of COVID. Okay, so now let's go over some of these things that Ruby Rose was telling us about. A crew member got a third-degree burn over his whole body, and his skin falls off his face, and all of the actors are there as well, and they see this, and they have to keep working. Now, this is the age-old adage in show business: the show must go on, right? It's incredibly unhealthy. You can't watch something like that as a person who's supposed to perform and as a person who's supposed to feel and have no time to process it. And then she's saying that she had to do a sex scene after that. Like, holy shit. She's saying somebody ended up becoming a quadriplegic on the set because they were on their phone as a PA. For you guys who don't know, PAs are constantly like this because they're having to do so many things. Get this, move this, go there, do this. They're in touch with everybody. So PA has to be on their phone. So that's insane to me. A lot of these are like, whew. Then she says, Caroline Dries has no heart, and wanted us to finish the season throughout the pandemic. And I told her it was a bad idea. Pretty sure I interviewed Caroline at some point for the originals or Walking Dead or something like that. And so I not that that's relevant to this at all, but she's worked on a bunch of different CW shows is the point that I was just trying to make. She says she has no heart. She wanted them to finish the season throughout the pandemic. And I told her it was a bad idea. I told her everyone was too distracted, constantly checking COVID updates, checking on Friends, and seeing Riverdale and The Flash and Supergirl get shut down already. I felt something bad would happen, and Caroline Dries maybe visited the set 4 times in a year, unheard of. But in those 4 to 5 visits, she decided she could tell me she knew my injury happened on set, so I should comply with the PI, yet later denied it entirely and said it happened during yoga. LOL, I don't do yoga. Okay, so let's pause there for another second. Just really giving you guys my honest opinion on every single part of this, because it sounds like Ruby Rose had a horrific experience on set, and it sounds like the set is a nightmare. That being said, going through this, at the beginning of COVID, no one knew what to do with sets. I'm not saying that Caroline Dries made the right call here, because it sounds like she clearly made the wrong fucking call. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew whether to keep working. And when you start to see other shows are shutting down, Riverdale, Flash, Supergirl, you would think that would be a sign, okay, we need to shut down as well. This clearly is about a bottom line. I don't know who cuts her checks. We don't know the kind of pressure Caroline was getting from her bosses. But if she's the showrunner, which can somebody double check on, and she gets to make the calls, this was clearly the wrong call. It was clearly the wrong call. I don't know that that means that she has no heart, but this sounds like a fucking nightmare situation. Then what makes it worse is that it's clear that Ruby Rose was injured on this set, and then for Caroline to claim that she did during yoga, that holy shit. What the fuck is that about? What the fuck is that about? Okay, then she goes on to say, and now someone will never walk again. So that's in reference to the PA. We shut down the next day, not because she almost killed someone, but the government pulled it. That's like tough too, because it's not because you did the right thing. It's because it became illegal for you to be on set anymore. So at no time did they make the decision to do the right thing. It was the government that stepped in. Also, I fought people on set. Yes, because we heard a lot of stories about Ruby being challenging on set. So I'm sure this is in reference to that. Also, I fought people on set. Yes, not because I wanted to, but because I wanted safety. Ask anyone in hair and makeup what I did for them. After 2 were hospitalized, the only people who came out and spoke was Dugray, who, okay, so pausing on that for a second. I'd be interested to hear what the hair and makeup people have to say about this. I am curious what they say. It sounds like Ruby fought for them, but I would love to know what their interpretation of the situation was. And then when it comes to this next part, as she's about to get into, now we're not just talking about the people. Now we're not just talking about the producers or people who are working on set. Now she's about to talk about her fellow cast members. Dugray Scott, who plays her dad on the show, was one of the more famous people on the show. So he probably had more clout on set. And she's about to say some things about him so that we will break down. She said, the only people who came out and after 2 were hospitalized of the hair and makeup people, the only people who came out and spoke was Dugray, who talk about unprofessional. Called my agent after my exit to find a way to leave, to which she replied, break your neck, I guess. Yet slammed me in the press. I never raised my voice on set, never have. Dugray hurt a female stunt double. He yelled like a little bitch at women and was a nightmare. He left when he wanted and arrived when he wanted. He abused women. And in turn, as a lead of a show, I sent an email out asking for a no yelling policy. They declined. All right, let's pause there because we're about to go into somebody else. So this is her what she says about one of her co-stars. That's a lot of fucking accusations here. She says that he was unprofessional. Now, the first thing she references is the call to her agent. I understand if she left and he called her agent. I'm unclear on why. Maybe they're rep by the same agency, and so he was talking to the agent. But that's a weird move to call somebody's agent anyway. But then when she says he slammed her in the press, I don't know what that's in reference to. I would need to do some more research and look into what he said. I don't remember him saying anything. That doesn't mean he didn't. He clearly did, but I just don't remember what it was. So I need to know what that was. Then she says that he hurt a female stunt double. I don't know whether she's saying by accident, on purpose, or what that injury was. Then she says he yelled like a little bitch at women. I think that one is tough when she's trying to make her point. I use verbiage like this all the time too. I'll be like, oh my God, you're being such a little fucking bitch. Because I'm from Boston. Not that that makes it right, but that's my upbringing. I think that this probably hurts her point a little bit to call him a little bitch. It's just not very descriptive and specific to what she's trying to say, which makes it more unclear. She said he left when he wanted, arrived when he wanted. So some people who are the more famous people on set do this kind of shit. It's bullshit, but they do this kind of shit. But then says he abused women. An intern as the lead of the show, she sent out the email asking for no yelling. Why there's yelling on set is beyond fucking me. This happens all the time, but it makes it really hard to work. I am extremely curious when she says he abused women, what that means. Or is she talking about physical abuse? Is she talking about verbal abuse? What does she mean? She just in there drops he abused women. Coworkers, women in his life. What does this mean? It's not that I don't believe it. It's a hard line to just throw in there, and I'm curious what that looks like. Then she says, I was late one time because I was in hospital. Whoever does these stupid leaks, I'm finding out who. So there was people were saying that she was late. She was always late. That was something that came out when she lost her job. People were like, oh, well, she was late to set. She was late to set. But so that's why she's saying whoever does these fucking leaks, because that was leaked and it was like, what the hell? Then Cameron Johnson, who plays Luke Fox, this is who she's about to get into now. I was late one time because I was in the hospital. Whoever does these stupid leaks, I'm finding out who, but it's Camrys, who so she says, I'm finding out who, but it's Camrys. So she calls out another one of her co-stars and says, who after I left the hospital said, yeah, well, maybe if people were not late, we would make our days. A kid, an egomaniac kid who worked one day a week, had the audacity. So that's another person that she clearly doesn't like on set. Camrys, let's see, he is, I don't know how old he is. I wouldn't call him a kid. He's definitely been in a lot of things, or he's definitely got some credits under his name. I don't know about him at all, and that doesn't mean that he's nice or a good person, but I just don't know if I would call him a kid. Cameron Johnson age. Especially, I'm curious how much older Ruby Rose is than he is. Okay, Cameron is 30. So is revealed to be 30 years old. He's among okay, so he's 30. How old is Ruby Rose? Again, we're being real. I'm not trying to be nitpicky here. I'm just trying to get a really good understanding of the situation and what the set was like and who has issues with who for what. Okay, so Ruby Rose is 35. Another reason that I look at this is just like, I think it is worth, well, anyway, she's calling him a kid, an egotistical kid. He's 30. She's 35. I think having 5 years on somebody doesn't really give you the right to call them a kid, but he might be an egomaniac. I don't know about that part. I don't know about the working one day a week part. Or then she goes on to say, or the stunt department, who were furious, even though I never blamed them. So she I'm wondering here, she's saying she had issues with the entire stunt department and they were furious about what. That part's a little confusing to me too. But I went on Fallen, but I went on Fallen and but I went on Fallen and spoke of my injury. What does she mean? But I went on Fallen and spoke of my injury. Oh, maybe she meant to write Fallon? Maybe she was trying to say Jimmy Fallon, but I went on, maybe she meant Fallon. I don't know. And spoke of my injury and didn't play the game. Aside from them, I was loved and loved my crew. So she says, aside from them. So I'm assuming she's talking about aside from Camrys, Dugray, Caroline, um, Peter Roth, and the other two people she named at the beginning, Berlanti and Sarah. I think what she's saying, aside from all those people, she was loved. And then she says, oh, and they wouldn't drive me to work and knew I couldn't legally drive after surgery. So they said, get a taxi. Okay, there's more to this, but I'm pausing there. I am somebody who, as you guys know, has a very strong personality, which means that I don't get along with everybody either, always. So it is likely when you are on a set to have a few people that you do not get along with. But what's not typical is to have the lead of the set, the leading woman of the set, have no say. She's not able to say that she wants this no yelling policy. Seems like a lot of people hate her. This is not normal. Where this stems from, who the fuck knows? But this is not, for those of you guys who don't work in the industry, I'm sure you can gauge this just by hearing this. This doesn't sound healthy. This doesn't sound productive. This sounds like an uh-oh set. There are parts of it that sound too normal than they should be, such as people getting hurt on set. That fucking happens all the time. It's something that needs to stop. Or such as people yelling. That happens all the time. It's something that needs to stop. But parts of this still don't sound average, don't sound like the average set. She then says, I just want to say one last thing, because no doubt I won't get another chance. So she's assuming Warner Brothers is going to drop the hammer on her. I think they already have said something. We've got to look into that after this. She says, I'm assuming I won't get another chance, nor do I want to keep talking about it because it's so deeply hard to. Any of us know this, things that we have all lived through. Imagine having to fucking reiterate it and talk about it over and over and you're not allowed to, but you're going to do it anyway. It's time for me to take my life back and to finally breathe again after all these years. Also, this has greatly been handed over to the appropriate people now. This has greatly been handed over to the appropriate people now. Does that sound like a legal thing to you guys? Because that kind of sounds like a legal thing to me. This has greatly been handed over to the appropriate people now. Her reps? I don't know. I did not choose now to come out and speak because of any of the numbers of reasons people will and have wanted to guess. So I like that she says this, because the next thing she says is much more complicated than that, nor is it because work has dried up. I've declined more films this year than in my whole career. It seems like the general consensus of people at home is people are saying things like, it's because she's not getting work. That's such bullshit. She's Ruby Rose. She's a fucking star. She's a mega star. Of course she's getting offers. Of course she is. So she's not saying this because she's not getting work. She's saying this for other reasons. She says, if you just look under the surface, you will see every film I've done, announced and unannounced, are with the same small, trusted group of people because I've been too terrified to work with anyone else ever again after that experience. I hope that changes for her. I hope she doesn't always feel like that. Lionsgate, Sony, BuzzFeed, thank you. And the producers of The Doorman, thank you. Those must be other people that she's worked with, other projects she's worked on. We'll keep going with this. But by the way, guys, send in your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. What are you thinking about each one of these slides so far? It shouldn't just be a conversation that I'm having with myself. I want to hear from you guys. What are you thinking? What do you believe? What is this making you question? Apollo 3JP in the Streamlabs says, with regard to the Ruby Rose drama, my only question, why now? I think that's a valid question. He says, I think that's valid. He thinks his own question is valid. Also, Ted Sarandos, my guy caved, but not completely. We can acknowledge hurt feelings, but they can't dictate art. My 2 cents, peace and love to you all. Roxy, bad girl. Paul, we'll talk about the Ted Sarandos stuff after this. I think why now is because when she says it's in the appropriate hands, maybe she's finally, enough's enough. Sometimes we just finally break about things. Like, she's been a long quarantine. I think she's far enough away from the project. She's probably every day. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? To me, that seems like enough of a reason for now. Leonard Kim says, hey, Dimple Tits, how are you doing? It's funny. I also discovered what Bones Day is today. I was watching a part of the Today Show. They had a segment about it. This is rough to hear, especially considering what IATSE are fighting for. Yeah. Paul also says, with regard to Rose being a strong personality, it's not a badge of honor. If you find yourself not getting along with people, that's usually a sign to readjust your approach. Is everyone going to like each other all the time? No, but don't lean in. I don't think that she's wearing it like a badge of honor. I don't think she's self-identified as having a strong personality. I'm just saying that sometimes people who especially are strong women can be disliked on set. And I think that as long as you are not being mean, harmful, rude to people, you're allowed to be a strong woman. You're allowed to. And if people don't like that about you, then that's their issue. That's their issue. Okay, this is what she says next. Streamlabs and your guys' thoughts. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I'll read them on the show. She says next that she says, which just briefly, why would I exclusively work with some company of individuals So she just thanked the doorman and then says, which just briefly, why would I exclusively work with the same company of individuals if as the stunt team of Batwoman keep telling people was where I secretly got injured and faked it later. So the Batwoman people are telling people that she got injured somewhere else, and then she continues to work with that company. She's saying, why would I work with that company if that's where I got injured? Which makes sense to me. The injury was recorded on the set of Batwoman and filed as a workplace injury the same day, months prior to the doorman. So even though Batwoman's claiming it was on the doorman, she's saying it was filed already on Batwoman. She then says, and listen, maybe part of the timing was after being attached to Warner Brothers Meg the past 3 years and having developed Jax from scratch with John. Okay, what is Jax? Me trying to understand all of this. Was Jax her character on the Meg? Yes. Okay. So Jax is her character in the Meg. So after developing Jax from scratch with John, a character, an IP, and franchise I loved so much, having the fans constantly ask me when we start shooting, as they're constantly posting pictures of Jax, only to be told I was cut a month ago. Hence why I was growing my hair out for Jax and then chopped it with no explanation. People forget Meg was the #1 film in the world when I joined Batwoman. I was not in a career lull. What is happening here? Is there a Meg 2 coming out that she was cut from, or what is she talking about? Because she's in the Meg. So does he mean that the character was just cut down, or what? I'm not clear on this part of it. Is anybody clear on what she's referring to here with the Jax situation for the Meg? I speak now because I understand my privilege. So she's trying to address why she's coming out now. Speak now because I understand my privilege, but I am not ScarJo. I do not have Scarlet type money, power, or influence. And sadly, I also didn't have a team like her who cared enough to not be afraid. I think a lot of people are afraid. Okay, you guys are saying the Meg 2 did get announced, so maybe she's talking about, was she cut from the Meg 2 because of Warner Brothers? I don't know. Who care enough not to be afraid? I also guess I don't have the superpower strength she must have had to do what she did. So she's obviously talking about ScarJo in reference to Disney and equating those situations. But I am someone who has always tried to do the right thing, and she inspired me. So did the cast of Jagged Little Pill on Broadway, who chose to live their truths. Then IATSE finally got its moment. If I don't say something, then what am I really saying? This isn't just for me. This could possibly end my acting career, but it was already ended when I could no longer open a script without a panic attack. So this part resonates for sure, because I think she's saying that if this is a thing that makes her not be hireable anymore, then so be it, because not coming out with this was making it so that she couldn't look in the mirror. She couldn't do her job. She couldn't do any of it without coming clean about what had happened. I also had to look at all the people responsible and who contributed to this, myself included. Why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I sue? Why didn't I get a lawyer? Why didn't I fight? I was tired. I might look tough, play tough characters, but I am very human and very sensitive and do not like conflict. I was also afraid, deeply afraid. These massive corporations are fucking scary, of course. Of course. I think it makes perfect sense. Why now? Why now is because she chose now. In the Streamlabs, let's see what you guys are saying. There's still more on this, but streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Pink Sweet says, oh, hi. Feel awful for Ruby Rose. Candace Patton from The Flash has spoken out before in regards to racism on and offset, and said nothing was done. I believe Anna Diop, Starfire Titans, has spoken about as well. Warner Brothers obviously has a problem. I think every major corporation has some problems, as we're seeing also on and a bunch of places. But yeah, Pink Sweets. Apollo 3JP says, respectfully, I disagree. If someone has a gripe or a very real concern or issue, you have a specific window after the initial incident to bring it forward. What? The longer you wait, the less credibility you have. Didn't bother you before, but it does now. It bothered her every single day, Apollo. I am guessing, and I could be wrong, but let me know. Have you ever experienced extreme workplace harassment? Because if you haven't, then I don't think you know that sometimes you don't know the right thing to say or the best thing to say until you need to really remove yourself and step away from the situation and take some time to figure out what it is that you want to say. Why is it that so many men think like that? Like you only have a certain period, you have one window, because that's what I said. Why? Who sets the period of, I mean, even according to law, you have 7 years. So what are you talking about? All right. She then says, I do and say this now because this isn't a crazy, out of the world freak incident, nor is it even the half of it. I'm speaking up because IATSE and previously mentioned people reminded me that nothing will change if nothing changes. And people out there are even more scared than I, have less resources than I, and need to know they're not alone. Our industry needs a lot of work. It needs to change dramatically, and people deserve to be less afraid. And maybe, just maybe, aside from healing me, it might make a small change for someone else. I think that's a really good reason to say something. Thank you for the support, but I'm in the woods right now, literally, not figuratively, and I will not be on my phone. Please also do try to leave Javicia, who's the current Batwoman, and other people I didn't name out of this. She deserves better. And some of the people I have been told are getting attacked are my allies, not my enemies. She says allies, not my enemies, but I think she just means not my enemies. Just because some people can't be public about their support doesn't mean it's not there. Whew. And that's the end of her. That's the end of that. So what are you guys thinking? Let me know your thoughts. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I want to hear from you guys. I also have heard that Warner Brothers has said something already. So let's see. Warner Brothers TV hits back, reveals misconduct allegations against Ruby Rose after actor claims toxic behavior on Batwoman set. Okay, so this happened. Warner Brothers Television, the studio behind CW, Batwoman has released a strongly worded statement in response to Ruby Rose. This is what they said. They said, despite the revisionist history that Ruby Rose is now sharing online, aimed at the producers, the cast and crew, the network, and the studio, the truth is that Warner Brothers Television had decided not to exercise its option to engage Ruby for season 2 of Batwoman based on multiple complaints about workplace behavior that were extensively reviewed and handled privately out of respect for all concerned. This will be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. While there might be truth to both sides, where maybe she was not the best to work with. I don't know how you combat somebody was burned on set, their skin was peeling off, and she still had to do a sex scene. So there's a lot to process here. I'm sure there'll be more to still come out. It seems like there are multiple truths taking place. And overall, just yuck, yuck, yuck. What a fucking yucky situation. Norvell Ross sending that super sticker. Thanks, Norvell. I appreciate you, my dear. Ben Rayner saying, this is heartbreaking. I feel bad for Ruby. It sounds like it was a bad match for sure. I agree with that. I miss Kate on the show, but totally get why she left and respect her for speaking out. Good on her. In the streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, getting your questions, comments, concerns. Let's see what's going on here. Apollo says, it's not that men think that. Come on. It's that when you have very real accusations, you don't just sit on them till it's convenient for you to come forward. That's not true, Apollo. That's not true. I don't know. That seems like common sense to me. People who are opportunists, not women, not men, people. The reason I said men, Apollo, is because the argument around this constantly comes about with, and this is not the case in here, but this argument always takes place with things in Me Too. Why did you wait till now to say that he touched you? Because sometimes it takes a really fucking long time to process, and I'm not working on your timeline. I'm working on my own fucking timeline. So it is typically men, which is why I said that, who say things like, why now? Why didn't you say this earlier? And because usually those are the people who have not experienced harassment in the workplace. And so while this is not sexual harassment in the workplace, other than the part where she's talking about the steaming of the crotch, which I don't know if that's with her or somebody else, it's still harassment in the workplace. If her claims, and there's a lot of claims here, but if there's truth in these claims, which it sounds to me like there's at least some, then she came out when she came out because this is when she could come out. So that's why I said men, because I almost never hear women say, why now? Because we get why now. Because sometimes it takes a fucking moment. So that. Streamlabs in. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on Ruby Rose. Would love to hear from you guys. Was going to talk about this Netflix situation as well. But you guys can continue to talk about Ruby Rose. But as we're closing out the show, I do want to transition a little bit to Netflix. Streamlabs in your thoughts. There is a walkout happening, and Netflix released a statement on how they feel about the walkout happening. There's a few things that I did want to address. There's a video that I saw that was really helpful to me. It was actually on CBS News, and it was, I'll put a link in the chat for you guys to watch afterwards. But it was some thoughts on the special, which, as you guys know, I thought was funny, but have had issues with how Ted Sarandos has handled the situation and how Netflix has handled the situation. And just because you think something's funny doesn't mean that I get to make the rules or that it should be out there. That's the truth. But there's a walkout that is taking place, and Netflix put out statements saying that they are okay with this walkout and they respect anybody whose decision is to walk out because of this. Also, Ted Sarandos said he screwed up about his verbiage with the people who were upset about Chappelle special, which when I came on here, I was already talking about. And this is the statement that they made today, though. With the closer, we understand that the concern is not. Oh, no, sorry. That's the statement that Sarandos made that I was not particularly happy with. The statement that they made today, let me find it for you guys. It's essentially just them saying it's okay for whoever wants to walk out, because there were mixed messages being sent. The person who had organized the walkout 4 days ago, they had fired, and then they reinstated 3 different employees, and there was just a lot of things going on. And so now that they have said that they are okay with it, they have made their peace with the fact that people are going to walk out and that they have some work to do. They said, we respect the decision of any employee who chooses to walk out and recognize we have much more work to do, both within Netflix and in our content. Netflix said in a statement to AFP, which said the company understands the deep hurt that's been caused. I think that a walkout is completely fair for any member of the LGBTQ community or ally of the community who feels like their concerns are not being listened to. One of the things that I found out today was part of the walkout, at no part in the walkout, when they're asking for better treatment of the trans community and of the LGBTQIA community, no part of this is about taking down the special. No part of this is about the special not being made. It is about the concern that the LGBTQ voices at the company are not being heard, and it's about that. And so I'm in full support of any of this walkout if it helps elevate the voices of the community that feels like they are not being heard, and that's why content like this can be problematic. So I think that it will be interesting to see what happens in days to come after this walkout and how Netflix handles this. I think that all eyes are on them right now, and they have a lot of moves to make relatively carefully. But one of the biggest problems is with any of these companies, such as Warner Brothers and their treatment of people, Disney and their treatment of people, Netflix and their treatment of people, they are so large and we get so much of our content from them that while people like you and me might feel like that's a fucked up thing that CW did, aka Warner Brothers, or that's a fucked up thing that Disney did to Boyega, or that's a fucked up thing that Netflix did with the Chappelle special, or whatever it is that we feel, these companies don't end up actually taking hits. And unless their bottom line is at risk, why would companies change their practices? That's just, I'm sure, how, unless they have moral obligations and moral thoughts, which oftentimes they don't, because a lot of the people who run these companies are not good. They're rich. And sometimes those things can go hand in hand, but not all the time, and clearly not in some of these huge situations. So it's just, I think, very challenging to enact actual change here when changing things doesn't make them money. And so it is our job to put our money where our mouth is. And if somebody does something that you find so egregious that you don't want to support them anymore, sometimes you got to stop supporting them. Although, with these big companies, it's like voting. Does one vote make a difference? It does when there's enough of them. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts. I also, based on the reason I brought up that CBS special is that the guy that was speaking on it was making points about how some people were hearing what they wanted to hear in the special. And I feel like maybe I'm one of those people because I thought it was so funny. And I'm not taking his words at face value. But things like Chappelle saying, I side with the TERFs. What I'm hearing him say is, I'm about to make a joke. This is absolutely not true. I side with the TERFs, which I never would because I'm not a piece of shit. But if you take it at face value, what he's saying is super fucked up. So I think it all depends on like your interpretation of things, your life experience, and where you're coming from. And for me, I'm not listening to fully what he's saying because I'm reading between the lines and hearing jokes. But for the people who are, I get why this could be so fucking offensive. And some things are offensive and funny. And some things are not offensive and funny. And some things are offensive and not funny. And some things are not offensive and not funny. And so everybody can be on different areas of that. In the chat right now, guys, remember, if you're a rock star, you interact with other people kindly and with love and compassion. And we don't all have to be on the same side of things, but We don't just name call here. So please communicate properly or you get booted. That's the whole point. We can't have a productive conversation if you guys are at each other's throats, especially when there's a lot of names in here. You're welcome. People who are not here all the time, you're welcome here. We embrace you with open arms until you start name calling or insulting others. Then you're no longer welcome in this Rockstar community, because the only thing we're intolerant of is intolerance. So if you're here, please enjoy your stay. We do that by sending love. And if we disagree, that's okay. Everybody's got an opinion on this, but we have to do it respectfully. So that. Any last minute streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. If you want your thoughts to be heard, questions, comments, concerns, get them in loud, get them in proud. Let's see what's going on in here. Leonard Kim says, if we all want quality content, which I assume is all of us, then I'm okay with studios and companies getting called out, being held accountable. I'm not privy to what a day-to-day on set looks like, but cast crew deserve better work conditions environment. That's absolutely true. Vincer1969 says, you look great. Thanks, Vincer. This is not the cutest look I've ever had, but I appreciate you. So thank you for that. Much love to you, my dear. Also in here, Apollo comes back. He says, why doesn't Hannah Gatsby return the money she made then? Legit asking. If you think she doesn't have to, fair enough. But she did her second Netflix special after Dave made his second special, which contained trans jokes. She didn't have a problem with it then. Apollo, this is such an abridged way. I'm surprised with you right now because I feel like you are usually a little more progressive than you're being. Why the fuck would Hannah Gatsby have to return the money? What are you talking about? I really genuinely, I don't understand your point here. Because the company that she works for, she should return the money because why? What? Tell me. I'm nervous to say tell me more, but I really don't see your point. All right. Well, thank you, my friends, for joining the show today. You guys are awesome. Shout out to all of you guys in here. To Jesus, to Kenny Put, to Bruce Banner, to Laura, G. Smith, Vince, Kieran, ZB, Brittany, John, Bruce, Manny, Twinkle Star, Zozo, Shazam, Lauren, Jesus Goat, LC, Patrick, Jermaine, to every one of you guys who's been lovely and respectful. Daryl, Matt, who says fuck Superman. Why? Dirt, Steve Cauldron. Much love to all of you guys. I'll be back tomorrow live at the Roxy, and we'll be talking about, I'm sure, more interesting things. Plus, tomorrow night for the World Girls. Remember, it's World Girl Wednesday, but this week it's a World Girl Thursday. Stay safe, stay sane, put down the toilet seat and lid. We don't want those paflumes. Don't try with the Holocaust. Brett Miles Jonathan, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, all three of them for killing Breonna Taylor. We're going to say that for as long as it fucking takes. You guys are asking me about Brian Laundrie. I did see about that. We can do more talks about that tomorrow. And check your internet. You can do so by blowing on it. All of that. Much love, my friends. Be kind to one another because the world's already beating us down enough. It's supposed to be a safe place for us all. I hope that you guys feel that. Talk soon. Later.